You usually respect each other's ability to talk shit.
It's constantly progressive. Like, not fun. You
can't have a seat, man.
We'll call the meeting of the business meeting of the Lee County Board of Education to order, and I will offer the invocation. Please bow with me. Father, thank you for the opportunity we have to call on you. Father, we ask for your wisdom and discernment as we discuss the business of this school system. We pray your continued blessing on it, teachers, the staff, the students, and families of Lee County. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right, you have the agenda before you. We can adopt it by consent. If that's all right with everyone. All righty. Dr. Miller, I believe we have two presentations today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Our first presentation is Mr. Bradley Bunce, and he's the Lee County High School Corps Director, so I will call on him and he can take over from there.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, Dr. Miller. This is the Lee County Mastery Chorus. They're going to be performing our concert opener. If you're interested in hearing more of the chorus singing, you're welcome to attend our Thursday night concert this Thursday in Cloud Auditorium. It takes place at 7 p.m. And can we get in a couple rows? Yeah, 2 rows, like in class, just like yeah, you can use 2 aisles. You can use a second aisle. Yeah, you want to get in groups. Use the second row. Yep. There you go. You're ready. A fishing guy. Nice. We get started fishing. All right. Yeah, there we go. Ready?
Who'll be a witness for my Lord? 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 Who'll be a witness, witness? Who'll be a witness for my Lord? Be a witness, witness. I'll be a witness for my Lord.
There was a man of the Pharisees. His name was Nicodemus, and he did believe. The same came to Christ by night, wanted to be taught out of human sight. Nicodemus was a man who desired to know how a man can be born when he's old. Christ told Nicodemus as a friend,
Man, you must be born again.
He said,
Marvel not, man, if you want to be wise. Repent, believe, and be baptized.
then you'll be a witness.
Then you'll be a witness for my Lord. You'll be a witness for my Lord. You'll be a witness. Soul is a witness for my Lord. You read about Samson. From his birth he was the strongest man that ever lived on earth. Way back yonder in ancient times, he killed 10,000 of the Philistines. Then old Samson went a-wandering about. Samson's strength was never found out. Till his wife sat upon his knee, she said,
Tell me where your strength lies, if you please.
Well, old Samson's wife, she talked so fair. Samson said, Cut off of my hair.
Cut it off!
Shave my head just as clean as your hand, and my strength will come like a natural man.
Samson was a witness for my Lord.
Samson was a witness, Lord.
Samson was a witness for my Lord.
the opportunity.
Concert is when?
This Thursday night, on 7 o'clock. Yes, yeah, I was gonna, yeah, I was gonna share some through, I'm gonna be efficient, but also, this is my 4th year at Lee County High School, going into my 5th, I think, hopefully, right? And so I'm excited to be here. We're really excited. I've got a lot of positive things to share with you guys that the Lee County Chorus is doing. And if we can just advance to the next slide, yeah. Oh, well, can we go one at a time? Yeah, there we go. And I just did want to share with you our mission. It is to enhance the community of Lee County through quality singing and unique opportunities. The key words there, quality singing, or quality, and also opportunity, which we'll get back to in a little bit. But before we do that, I want to share sort of like the state of our choral programs here at Lee County. This is our enrollment over the past several years. Also gave you some hard copies there if you like, and I think they're going to share the presentation with you via email and whatnot. But you can see enrollment for the high school is up. There was a season there in our middle schools where enrollment was kind of falling down, but we are recovering from that, as you can see there. And if we can go to the next slide, please. Now, this is deceptive because a lot of times when we see 1, 2, 3, 4, we think milestones, and 4 is really good for milestones. For us, it's the opposite. 1 is a perfect score, and GMEA stands for Georgia Music Educators Association, and they set the state standard for performing arts and music for not just chorus, but for band and orchestra as well. You can see how over time the trend has been us getting closer to that level 1 score. And just to provide some context, I believe I've never seen a 5 given to a school in my life. I think it's just there so that they don't give the kids the bottom. 4 the groups that I've heard that are 4 are pretty rough, and so 3 we kind of like, as music directors go, okay. So you can see we've really done much better with that over the past more recent years. And if we can advance there, this is our all-state participation, and so all-state chorus is very much like all-state band. The kids have to audition. It's a rigorous audition where they have to do all sorts of things. And so the kids that make all-state are considered the best in the state of Georgia. And you can see our enrollment is definitely increasing with that. And we're super proud of that. And at the middle schools, we, for a long time, weren't having any. And so that's an area where we're improving and we're encouraging students to go out and try and giving them the tools they need to be successful. It's an all-state chorus is why I chose to go into music as a profession, and so it really completely changed. I'm from a tiny town, Donaldsonville. You probably drive through it on the way to the beach, and so all-state really did change my life, and I believe in it, and we're growing numbers there as well. I want to let you guys know, we were talking about opportunities and our mission statement, some of the opportunities and some of the things we've done this year. UGA Choir Day and other university choir days are something that we try and promote. Not just for the culture of the music and singing with other students from across the state, but because it gets them on university campuses and they can see and get a feel for different universities. UGA is probably like the biggest one we go to, and we can advance there. We also go to ABAC at Columbus State, and it's very much similar to what you saw there at the UGA picture. And ABAC's a little bit smaller, and Columbus State has a fine school of music, Schwob. And our master course was actually featured there, and so instead of just performing with everyone, they performed on their own for everyone that was there, the professors and all of the schools that were in attendance. And this is a really unique opportunity that we've given our students to perform with a symphony orchestra. It's one that I believe in and one that y'all have been gracious enough to allow us to go on for the past several years. It's an audition-based program. And it's a Disney's Candlelight Processional, and they only take in, like I said, you have to audition, and not every choir program makes it. But the big selling point here for me as a music educator is performing with symphony orchestra, and so you don't really get many opportunities to do that as a high school student, and so we're really excited that we can offer that to them. And of course, they get to enjoy the park there for the day. And just a little side Christmas story is narrated usually by a celebrity. A lot of times, Neil Patrick Harris does it every year, and Whoopi Goldberg we had this past year, and so that's kind of a fun, exciting, magical thing for the kids there. And future opportunities, we applied to audition, or we auditioned and applied, excuse me, to perform at the Georgia Music Educators Conference in next January, and we're very much interested in things that we have to audition for to earn it, not just something that you can sign up for and go on, and we feel like it gives the program a certain amount of prestige. And that picture on the right is St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City. We're looking forward to applying to that and getting the work started on being accepted into that. And we currently have a process we're going through to pull and see who's interested in going on the trip, and of course going through all the routes we need to go to make that happen. And so that's one of our short-term goals, to perform at St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City. And we're wrapping up here. The next steps for us as a program, big things that we're doing is concert attire. This is our current men's uniform that we have in stock. We've got about 50 or so of these red blazers that we've been able to acquire on our own through the program. On the left, you see what the current dress code for the ladies. The ladies kind of like just put together their black concert attire, and it looks professional, but I will say that black is a very hard color to match, and so a lot of times we get many different shades of black. And I'll say at performance evaluations this past spring, we were one of the more underdressed groups, and so we're looking at elevating our performance attire so that we don't just sound the part, but so that we also look the part. And so we're looking forward to acquiring that in some way in the future. And wrapping up here at the very end, this is the last one. Also, next steps, we have some wonderful middle school directors that are helping grow the program at the middle school level. And we're trying to grow the programs at the middle school level, not just in chorus, but in drama as well. We're hoping that we can grow the chorus program enough in the middle school level for consideration to be had for hopefully acquiring a full-time chorus director, and that's one of our endeavors there as well, one of our goals. And I just thank you so much for your time. I'm super humble and appreciative, and I've never had the pleasure of presenting to a Board of Education. So thank you for the time, and I certainly appreciate all you do for our school system.
Thank you very much. Wonderful.
Our next recognition is of an individual student, and I'm going to ask her to come up with her teacher at this time, and we're going to introduce her. She's gotten a national honor, and I think it's wonderful for her and for our school system. So I'm going to let her teacher, and of course Ms. Patsy Shirley is going to be part of this as well. So.
Well, hi, Mr. Bunce. I have never presented before the board, so I have a cheat sheet if you don't mind. Good evening, I'm Haley Mims. I'm the media specialist at Lee County High School and also the sponsor of SAD, which is Students Against Destructive Decisions. And I want to thank you for letting me come and introduce you tonight to Rhiannon Belcher. Just this morning, Rhiannon and her family and Miss Patsy Shirley and I all were in Atlanta, where Rhiannon was honored by the Governor's Office of Highway Safety. And we got to meet with the director of the governor's office, and in fact, she just showed us where he had posted his picture on Instagram with her, so we were excited about that. And then we took a tour of the Capitol, so it was just a fun morning in Atlanta. And the reason why they were recognizing her is that Rhiannon has been selected as part of the SAD National Student Leadership Council. And being selected as National SAD Student Leadership Council representative was no easy feat. Rhiannon competed alongside several hundred other high school students from across the United States. She was one of only 4 students selected to serve on this Student Leadership Council. As a member of the SAD Student Leadership Council, Rhiannon will formulate recommendations on SAD policies and programs and coordinate the expansion of SAD across the country. In addition, she will be called upon to represent SAD at various conferences and media events. She'll begin her journey as a SAD SLC member at the 2019 SAD National Conference on Youth Health and Safety in Phoenix, Arizona in June. She will have the opportunity to travel throughout the year with SAD and the entire SLC. Her term runs through the end of the SAD National Conference in 2020 in St. Louis, Missouri. We're very proud of Rhiannon and are excited about this opportunity for her. And we also want to invite all of you to come to the high school tomorrow. We'll be out there from 8:15 until 3:15 tomorrow, having a Dangers of Driving interactive simulation. We are doing this with the Lee County reenactment team. I know many of you have gone to our reenactments before, where we are trying to show students just the dangers of driving and of not paying attention. But tomorrow we've got several simulations coming, or people from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety, and they're bringing various simulators down to show what it's like to be in a car wreck without your seatbelt on, what it's like to be in a car when it rolls over, and we're going to have a seatbelt challenge where we challenge students to buckle up as fast as they can, and we'll have little prizes for them during that. So anyway, it runs the whole school day tomorrow, so if you can, please come and check that out. And I'm going to tell you one other thing about Rhiannon. She always rises to the top in any endeavor because she is committed to excellence. Last year, she entered a public service announcement contest hosted by Drive Safe Atlanta. And she sent in her concept on paper, and her concept won. And so a video team from New York came down, and they filmed Rhiannon at the high school doing the PSA, acting out the PSA that she had created. So we've got that PSA to show you tonight. Thank you.
I really miss having fun with my friends. Gabby, do you want to go to the movies? Definitely. And let's see if he's cooking them. Okay, I'll text her. Now I can't even walk, let alone run the bases. Gabby, I am so sorry.
Rhiannon, thank you very much. We're excited for you. Congratulations for your appointment to the SAD Student Leadership Council. Thank you for the way you represent this county and your family. Thank you very much. That's all we have?
Yes, sir.
All right. Moving on, we have approval of the minutes from the April 15 and 29 meetings we had back last month. What is the pleasure of the board? We have a motion. Is there a second? Motion and a second. I believe there's one correction being made to some of those minutes.
Yeah, it's
we've
there.
already gotten
Sorry,
to
yes.
clarify on that. All right, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Next, we have the consent agenda. Dr. Miller.
The consent agenda is a little longer than usual, which is actually not unusual for this time of year. It's lengthy. There are 16 requests to raise funds, 34 recommendations for employment, 16 resignations, 2 retirements, 12 reassignments, 2 corrections to a previous agenda, 10 requests for out-of-state and/or overnight field trips, and 2 website flyers.
All right, you have the consent agenda and the information in your, the web portal. What is the pleasure of the board as it relates to the consent agenda? Have a motion, is there a second? Second. Have a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Passes 5-0. Next, we have information presented. I think you have a copy of the handbook. That is just strictly for our information. That's not for any vote. Is there any discussion that we have on that, Dr. Miller?
No, sir. You have a copy of the book, the handbook, and as you said, is presented for information only, does not require action. Of note, of interest, are 2 items. The clear book bag policy is going to remain in place as a school safety initiative, And then the newly updated honor graduate requirements will go into effect, and those are reflected in the student handbook, so that'll be in place next year. Is that correct, Dr.
Yes, sir.
Hancock? So that the upcoming seniors will be able to, under those new requirements.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Hancock, I had a question about, and it's just a question. We didn't have it at our level, at the elementary level, but I was pretty sure, you know, you've got older children, you have boys, men, you know, and they eat a lot. And the student lunch cost is $2.40. If they want a second lunch, it's $3.40. Is that a result that the federal government does not subsidize the second lunch?
I think that I would need the cafeteria, Miss Regina Dunn, to answer that question.
I can answer it.
That would be lovely. They eat a lot,
The
Miss
first-
Ford, to answer, yes.
Well, I knew they do, and.
The
they're-
first meal, even on $3 paid lunches, we get about 90 cents on 90 cents to $1, even on full paid lunches. So, yes, we don't get any participation from the federal government on second lunch.
I kind of thought that's probably what it was, but I just needed to make sure that I understood. Also, how many honor, I know we have honor and we have the distinguished honor graduates. How many of those do we have this year, the honor and then?
This year we have 30 honor grads, all but 2 were distinguished.
And then next year, we've altered the GPA requirement to be more inclusive. And so we expect more next year.
Okay, and I know it's 4.0 for honor and 4.1 for distinguished.
Yes, ma'am, to be
Honest, I would point out what's in the handbook, and the reason I'm saying that is I'm so immersed right now in this year's honor stuff, I would not want to misquote. The committee met several months ago, and we presented what the committee decided at that point. And so when you're looking at it, it is talking about a 4.0 academic GPA and then the distinguished 4.1. And we have a student right now that's at a 4.69, I believe, so that you have some idea of how high the averages can actually go. AP students get a 5, and then our honors get 4.5, and so we have that scaling score down. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
That's
thank
a
you.
great question. Is that good?
I have a question.
yes, sir.
Sorry, on the clear book bag issue.
Yes, sir.
Do y'all have any data on how effective this is or isn't? And not only just on effectiveness, but do you have any idea how many book bags each student has had to purchase throughout the year?
What I can tell you is that I've offered multiple students free lockers. There was a time when we didn't bring book bags at all. I want to knock on wood before I say anything, because we have a week left in this school year, and I'm always hesitant to say anything with a week and a half left. This year we have not had to have the lockdowns that we've had in the past. I haven't had the students be concerned about the children sitting next to them and what might be in the book bags, and I've had more of an awareness of what's happening with students in the hallway and what's in their book bag. Statistically, what I would say is we have not had the issues related to the dangers of non-clear book bags. Research from that standpoint, when I have students that stopped me in the hallway last year and told me that they were scared of what the person next to them could have, that was statistically one of the factors that drove that decision.
Do you know how many, for instance, I mean, this is strictly coincidence. This is a parent this morning. I just happened to meet my son leaving, and all his books fell out, and he said, "Oh, I hate you stupid book bags."
Book bags.
Yeah,
yes.
that's what he said. And I said, "What's wrong with it?" He said, "They break." And I said, "Why do you have so many books in it?" But this is a dad, and I was a
Oh,
boy there asking a question.
absolutely.
So then I asked my wife later, I was like, "Well, how many of those book bags have you had to have? I mean, if he's only had to buy one all year, it's good."
Yeah.
She said she had to buy several.
It depends on, I've had some that have bought one, and I've had some that have
Okay.
bought many, and it kind of depends on which one you bought and how much you put into it. But again, a lot of my students just use the locker. We don't issue
Okay.
very many books anymore. The digital age and the lack of books being on a rotation, it's been a very long time since we bought books other than the AP books that are required by College Board. And so what a lot of our students carry in their book bags is not books. but it sounds like your child might be. But the answer to this, I have one student that has 4 lockers. He has a locker outside each academic class, and he shoves the books in, and I'm fine with that too, so,
So they have alternatives.
They
And I didn't
have-
ask him all those questions, and I guess he's AP books. 'cause
Yes, that sounds, when you said books with an S spell out of his book bag, it made me
Okay.
think of it.
but I have a couple of kids that leave their book bags that aren't clear in the front office at the beginning of the day and pick it up at the end of the day. So we have a bunch of different, we try to work it with the student.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Heather. Dr. Miller, your reports?
Yes, sir. First, we'll start with the class report, and I'm proud to say that we bounced back somewhat from last month. We had an unusually low month last month. The spots collections for for March, but for April were $258,234.63, which is about $40,000 less than we've been getting. It's the lowest mark since 2013. In my opinion, and I'm not sure, but I would guess that people, the change in federal tax law, people got smaller or no federal tax refunds, and then of course the ongoing effects of Hurricane Michael potentially could offset that.
Well, these numbers, if I remember correctly, aren't they like 90 days behind? So what?
It used to be 2 months, and now it's like 1 month behind.
Oh, really?
Continuing on in food service, I would like to let the board know that our nutrition director, Ms. Regina Dunn, will serve on the State Nutrition Directors Advisory Council. This is a great honor for her as well as for Lee County, so very proud of that. Under technology, you have a copy of the technology maintenance summary for the last month, but I would also like to note that we will launch a new and improved Lee County School System website on June 10th. That's been in the works for several months. It's going to be more user-friendly and more aesthetically pleasing, and I think everyone will enjoy that. Under student health services, you can see that we had more than 4,000 visits to the school nurse office last month, and 93% of those students returned to class, which is, again, a testimony to the service that our nurses provide our students every day, and making sure that they're healthy and okay and can get back to class as soon as possible.
All right. Any questions of the superintendent for his reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to discussion and action items. The first matter is more perfunctory in nature, I guess, than anything. It's a request for approval to participate in state and federal funding to include QBE formula earnings, categorical grants, consolidated application for funding, and any other state and federal resources as they become available. As you saw in the memo, some of those grants require a specific date that this board approved the school system's application for those grants, and that's what this covers. What is the pleasure of the board?
I move we grant approval to participate.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any question? Any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
At one time, I know at the elementary level, we had Title I. And is Title I in this? And it seems like it was at the middle schools, it was at the high school, but the high school is not going to be a Title I school anymore. But I know it's 40%, is anything over 40% free and reduced, you qualify? Are we doing that at the other schools? Are
Yes,
we doing
ma'am. And we believe that we qualify at the high school. We just don't have the participation in the free and reduced lunch program at the high school that we see at the lower levels. And one of the things that we are going to look at, we're scheduled to go through monitoring, not next year, but the next year. And as we go through this process, we've seen an increase in our free and reduced lunch, so we're going to go back and look at if it would be wise to target more schools or make it system-wide. Right now, the targeted system approach that we use is the most beneficial.
And it's at 2 schools, or
Yes, it's at the high school, 9th grade, and both middle schools. So next year, the high school.
will not be, it'll just be 9th grade and 2 middle schools.
Right. But we have some funding there that we're looking at hiring some additional instructional staff to provide more support at those levels in the areas of reading.
Gary, were we, at one time, Title I and the EIP teachers were paid out of Title I?
What happened was, we used to not, when the EIP funding started, which is Early Intervention Program, it only addressed through 5th grade. And the superintendent at that time was Dr. Lewis, and he felt that we needed early intervention from 6th through high school also. So when the additional state funds for EIP from K through 5, and we haven't changed from that. We've always we've got kind of like an EIP model from 6 through 12, but next year the high school falls out. So that's kind of like remedial type.
So we still have the EIP teachers in
K5.
place at K through 5, and a portion, or all of their salary is paid.
EIP
out of
state
EIP
funding.
Okay, so title would add to that, and you could also pay title teachers out of a separate account other than the EIP? How would that work?
Well, if you did that, you'd rob Peter to pay Paul. You basically, if you wanna put more at the K-5, you'll have less cause we only get $750,000 in that, so you're gonna spend it one time. So it'd be a decision of the board, where you would rather put that money.
Okay, so now it's K through 5, EIP money.
Yes, but we can't change that, that's the state funding.
There's no EIP, right?
Such you could reallocate the title money to a different, it's targeted assistance, so you can target, or you could go school-wide, but if you do that, you're taking away from the 6 through 12, and they have no state funding for that.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is the request approval for the revised salary guide. Dr. Miller?
We need to make a modification to the salary guide that the board approved last month to include the school bus riders and the attendance incentive. If you remember, we created an incentive for our drivers to earn some additional pay based on their attendance. We've had an issue all year with a driver shortage, and this has been ongoing for the last several years, and it's a statewide issue, not just a Lee County issue. When we created this, we did not include the monitors that ride the bus. I think we have about 10 monitors that ride and support the driver, providing students assistance on the bus. So this would include them in that.
What is the pleasure of the board? Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second, is there any discussion? All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Passes 5-0. The next item on the agenda is the first presentation for the 2020 tentative budget. There's no action to be taken tonight. Is there?
Yeah, y'all got to set the dates.
Set the dates, yeah, but no action on the budget. Any discussion, any comments about this, Dr. Miller, before we get started?
This is the tentative FY20 budget. We used to have a preliminary budget, but state law requires that we have 2 hearings concerning the budget. And if I may suggest to the board, June 3rd at 6 p.m. and June 10th at 5 p.m. And I've asked Mr. Kelly to prepare just a brief few words about the budget. You have a question and answer handout concerning the budget. So if you would.
I mean, we'll have no increase in the millage rate. The county has imposed, we have an agreement with the county to kind of divide the collection fee based on what we set a millage rate, and they set a millage rate, and we've been informed that that was local legislation, that's no longer the policy, and they're gonna go to the full 2.5%, which is gonna be about $100,000 or just a little more of collection fee.
Did they pay anything?
Well, I mean, that's basically gonna cover the whole department, in my opinion, but, anyway.
But they has too.
Yeah, what we were trying to do is take the budget for their department for the collections, and basically, if we set a millage rate of 15 and they set a millage of 15, then we funded the department at 50-50, which is, no, that won't do it now. But anyway, we're optimistic that the growth of the digest will offset that increased cost, so basically this will be a wash on local funds. The budget is an increase of about $2.9 million if you take away, we're not having any capital outlay, so there's a decrease in capital outlay. The majority of that is the $3,000 pay increase for teachers, and of which the 2.9 increase, 2.6 of the increase is, we got a $2.6 million increase in state funds, so thankfully they sent the money with, you know, the salaries this time. We've got 5 positions for growth, and a little administrative help in transportation, and I think that pretty much covered it.
All right, any questions of Mr. Kelly? We do need to take action on setting those meeting dates, so as proposed, they were June the 3rd at 6 p.m. and June the 10th at 5 p.m. We need to do that in the form of a motion.
I move that we accept June the 3rd at 6 p.m. and June the 10th at 5 p.m. That'll be just for a regular monthly meeting.
There's a motion, is there a second? We have a motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? The meetings are set. Last item on the agenda for discussion and action items is a request for the approval of administrators and certified staff for the 2019-20 school term and the 2019-20 non-certified employment recommendation. Any comments, Dr. Miller?
Yes, sir. You have a list of administrators, certified and non-certified employee. The changes are noted in bold font. There are 821 names on this list. These are the recommendations for employment for next school year, and pending board approval, we will issue contracts accordingly.
What is the pleasure of the board?
I move that we accept the certified employees and non-certified employees for next year.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Passes 5-0. Seeing nothing else on this agenda, I will entertain a motion that we adjourn. Have a motion. Someone please give a second. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please rise. We will be adjourned. Thank you very much.